Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox. We are here for the second What If breakdown. And as promised, Kevin Clancy has joined this show. Kevin, thank you for being here.
You got it. Let's go. Love What If.
We talked about your reaction to What If last week because Clem said, "What did KFC think about it?" I said, he texted me. He said it was awesome. And it was like pretty much everything he wanted out of it. So, what did you think of this episode, which I feel like me and Clem talked about it a little bit via text, just expanded upon the last and like made it even better?
It's so good that they take it's big what ifs, It's not like, what if like this little thing changed? Like we're swapping entire fucking characters, man. Like that is, they're taking big chances, doing major things, and somehow still make it all tie together, like seamless. I don't know how long these take to make because I feel like they're just like little mini movies, but you gotta like carefully map out every little thing when you're swapping two major characters, and they do it. I don't know. These writers are so fucking good, man. I don't know how many they have. I don't know how many are operating on this one, but like it's unbelievable. So, I mean, I love what ifs. It's my entire life, literally my entire career is doing hypotheticals and what ifs and replacing this person with that person. And what if this was a loss and this was a win, all this stuff. So this is like my dream series.
It makes me very happy that it's lived up to your expectation because we talked about in the Loki recap. You were like, "What if is my fucking thing? That was my thing back in the day. It's going to be my thing when it comes out." Clem, what did you think of episode 2?
I mean, episode 1 was right up Bob Fox's alley. We have little Steve Rogers there and his brutish woman who just dominated him in bed, probably crushed like his fucking ribs. And now this one was right up my alley. You guys know, not only is it, we're a Guardians family, I should say. It's because Sienna got into Guardians and it's just become our family, the imperfect cast of fucking misfits that somehow patrolled the little galaxy together. That's me and the Clems. And then the T-Man shows up and I'm like, I'm 0 days since this dick has had come out of it.
when I saw Thanos, Clem immediately. It's crazy. I see Thanos, I think Clem. I see Clem, I think Thanos. It's like, it's crazy. But that version of Thanos, again, is such a leap. Like, It's so different. And like,
it's so good.
It's like, it's efficient. It's like
when he's like, "Listen, I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. T'Challa showed me the way
so
my ways were wrong." It's so
like
funny.
That what if was Thanos on 3G. Like he was like, what if we just get rid of half the universe? And someone was like, "Brother, just take this gummy and why don't you chill out?" And then he's sitting there like looking up like, it still would be really efficient, but I get it. All right.
It's genocide. You throwing the G word around casually, real casually.
and the fact that we actually have Josh Brolin, Chadwick Boseman, which of course this was, kind of tragically one of his last performances. He's going to be in, I think, a few more episodes though. So we get a little bit more Chadwick as Star-Lord. We get Michael Rooker. I think it adds so much to the show and makes it feel a lot more real in terms of the MCU. You're like, oh, these are like the real actors here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was the case until once I heard his voice. Chadwick's is so specific, and then at the very end, there's a little like cameo, and I think that they're all the real voices, right?
Yeah, I think almost all of them.
It's crazy because like you think that animated is like it feels in general.
JV.
What's that?
JV? Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah, it feels like a little bit lesser than where like I could see if they just had fill-ins or whatever, but Marvel and Disney does not fuck around. They're like, we're making $1 billion off this shit. We're going to get everybody in the room to do some voiceovers. If we're going to do it, we're doing it right. And it does. It makes it feel like, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't feel like I'm watching animated. I don't feel like I'm watching a JV version. It's just the real thing to me.
Yeah. And they really got wacky with this one. So I feel like that's where like the series is going to leap off from. I feel like the next 8-9 episodes, however many we have, are just going to get insane, and I'm very here for it. So let's get into it. We begin on Morag. It's like the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, with Star-Lord going to get the orb. But when Star-Lord's mask comes down, he's of course revealed to be T'Challa, the Black Panther as we know him, and Korath is after him, the same guy from Guardians 1, but he's actually like a fan of Star-Lord in this universe. And he says it was like a John Wick moment. I think it's in John Wick 3 or something where they're like, oh my God, it would be an honor to fight you, John. Like, we're such big fans. They have that moment. He gets dominated very quickly. Star-Lord throws him on his shoulder. He kind of feels bad for him. He's like, all right, let's bring him out. And he gives this great line where he's like, a Ravager never flies solo. And nothing happens. And then, of course, Yondu is late to the party, but Yondu shows up. Michael Roger, I love that character. I love the whistling arrow that goes through everybody. So getting to see him,
that is one of the most badass things. The whistling arrow is so fucking cool.
And the way they use it in the movies too, they make it like intimidating. Some of the scenes they have where people are just like unassuming and it just flies through their jugular or something.
The Marvel snipers.
Yeah.
Yes. My favorite part about that opening scene, again, I'm convinced Kevin Feige is officially a basement boy. He's a listener to the pod because the fact he throws Cap and the Guardians 1-2. So, Kev, you want to put any requests in now for the next episode? He might be able to shuffle things for you.
Well, you know what is funny? When my like what if memories from back in the day are a lot of X-Men what ifs. So I don't know if we're ready for that yet. It could be a cool way to like introduce X-Men to the Marvel world, but I don't know if we're going to get many of those. So I'll have to hold off on my request probably till season 2 or 3 or something once X-Men are in the mix.
What if the MCU got their ass off their elbows and actually fucking introduced the X-Men?
That's a good. Yeah. What if they never lost the rights?
Yeah, there we go.
Wow. I think that's an actual what if we could go into right there down at the end.
If you were to ask me what's my what if Star-Lord didn't fuck up the fight against Thanos?
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing in my mind that's like a specific event that would have just changed the trajectory.
What if they pulled the glove off right then and there?
Yes. Yeah. So that if you're asking me my number one what if, because these what ifs are grand, made up out of like, thin air. That's a specific what if that I think, that would change everything really. I mean, I guess not. You could end up in the same spot because it all gets undone, but if it never happened at all.
I guarantee T'Challa Star-Lord does not fuck that up. No matter who is murdered, he does not fuck that up. And I love that entire opening was a complete inverse of the original Star-Lord. It's like they don't know who, like my name is Star-Lord. I'm like, who? But it's like, oh my God, it's Star-Lord, the great one. He basically it's an honor to get his ass kicked by T'Challa Star-Lord, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It was very James Gunnsy. I wouldn't be surprised if the Gunman had something to do with this thing. And that dude, what's the guy's name with the blue eyes that he fights?
Korath.
I mean, that dude just has a sexy look. It's like he kind of looks like what was the sexy inmate? Remember that guy who like went viral?
Oh yeah, with the mugshot. Yeah,
he does look like him. Yes. Holy shit.
What a pull! That guy hasn't been brought up in years. I feel like that's an internet OG pull.
He lived on Barstool's front page for like a good 4 years. He like divorced his girl, became like a celebrity.
I think he has like 1 million followers on Instagram, and he's a model.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy for the sexy inmate. There you go. Maybe he could be in the new Marvel property as like Korath's brother or something. We see in a flashback that Yondu accidentally kidnapped T'Challa. That's how he became Star-Lord. They were looking for this big, energy coming from the earth because Star-Lord is the son of Ego, and they accidentally sensed it under Wakanda. So they pick him up right outside the border, and they're like, hey, you want to see the world, kid? Let's show you the universe. And they take him on this journey. They tell
up, by the way.
Very fucked up, and fucked up that they tell him his home world had been destroyed. They're like, yeah, Wakanda's no more. We can't go back there, which he's going to find out later. And you can't tell a kid that.
No, I mean, it's like, put him back.
He needed someone in the ship. He needed you in the back as the Ravager going, put him back.
You got the wrong guy. Let's keep looking. What the fuck?
I like the reasoning of it at all. It's like it's because he let his subordinates go and do it. Because it's like if you want it, like even if you just want to get your own coffee, sometimes if your coffee comes back wrong, it's like, well, I should have sent the guy to go do it. That's on Yondu right there. That starts with leadership and everything else. And like you said, Bob, I'm so happy that actor is back. What's his name? Because his voice, he's like one of the guys. Yeah, if I could bring back any MCU guy, I wouldn't want to bring back like Thanos would be a little too extreme. But like I'd love to bring him back. But it would kind of cheapen the death moment, which is maybe my favorite death in the entire MCU in terms of like emotional pull. But that guy fucking rules.
Also a great appearance in Suicide Squad.
So good in Suicide Squad in the intro. And I will say, he's like James Gunn's good luck charm in a way, and he's in every single one of James Gunn's movies, like every single one. So I think somehow maybe they could bring him back for Guardians 3 in a flashback or something. James Gunn has said, like, listen, I want that death to mean something. So he's dead. But you could do a flashback to Peter's childhood with him or something like that, right?
There's always
Before a
a
big
way.
moment. Yeah, I mean, variance. There's variance in the world now. You could let Michael Roker do an animated voice, I guess. The Ravagers go to this club to celebrate. That's where they meet up with Thanos. He's like, listen, yeah, T'Challa, he's a good guy. I saw the errors in my ways. It's genocide. And I love the reaction when he's like, but it would have been efficient. Everyone's like, oh, here we go again. Like they've heard it 1,000 times from.
They do such a good job of painting that where it's like, that was like Dave talking about Deflategate. Like, enough with the resources and the half of humanity. Jesus Christ.
That's a what if. What if the footballs like were never deflated, no Deflategate ever happened?
Bro,
Barstool changes a lot.
What if the Tuck rule never comes into play? The dynasties never launched. What if Boston doesn't win titles during, in the middle of Boston's reign? Barstool's come up. It's all tied to that shit.
These are endless. Who would be like the Barstool version of the Watcher, who's like intros the episode and he's like, I've seen it all. Would it be like Milmore, like in the shadows, like I've been here for it all?
No, you know who it would be?
Who?
It would be Mr. Portnoy.
Oh yeah.
That voice, just like I've been here. That is so good. Oh man, he's the one who watched it all.
If we ever make this animated series, if we ever make an animated What If Barstool series, we have to get him in to do the thing. Just because I could listen to him say Uba for a day straight, right?
And just like imagine him reading the copy and being like, alternate dimension? Does this say alternate? Is a different reality?
It would be we would have that opening, but it would start out with him going, read now? Is it recording? Okay, go now. Okay, go.
You always do this. You never tell me when you hit the button. You never tell me. I don't care. There's a red light. We're making a Mr. Portnoy show.
I love that guy. He's the best. Drax is actually a bartender at this club, and they have a funny scene, very Drax scene, where they take a picture together. He's like, no, let's take another one. You look horrible. And he's like, I think it's fine. He's like, no, I insist. You look truly horrendous in this photograph. And I was surprised they didn't get Dave Bautista to do the voice. He said he wasn't even asked to do the voice. And it's like, why not, dude?
I was wondering that because I was like, I don't know his voice all that well, but that doesn't sound like him. So
yeah. Why not give him a call? It was like a 2-second role. I can't imagine. Maybe because the whole James Gunn Guardians thing, he did the petition. Maybe they're mad at him.
Yeah, I thought there was some sort of something with Bautista at some point. No.
Yeah, I feel like that the timing could link up where it could have been when he was like basically saying like fuck Marvel, I'm out of future Guardians. Might have been as they were getting all this shit together, so it might have overlapped there in the timeline. And again,
the animators didn't want to like call their bosses and be like, can we get that guy that's saying fuck Marvel?
Yeah, I mean, like, think about asking Dave if you could have one of our ex-employees come in and do a project with you. It's like, do you really want to open that can of worms right now? No, thank you. We'll just have some other guy who kind of sounds like him. This was the first moment where when he's talking about his family and they're alive and everything, and Drax is happy, and I'm like, damn. Star-Lord not getting abducted really just ruined a lot of people's lives. You know what I mean? It made Nebula comes out rocking hair. She's all happy and everything.
Nebula's a smoke.
Nebula's hot as fuck.
Not afraid to say it. Smoke show.
She's riding that cha-cha dick.
Yeah, the cha-cha nickname. I was like,
cha-cha's a great nickname.
Yeah, she had like fucking Britney in her prime energy in this episode. Shout out Britney, by the way. Free Britney.
Free Britney. Always.
She has a job for the Ravagers. She says she wants them to retrieve the embers of Genesis, which is this seed energy thing that will grow all like greens all over a planet. So it's resources for them to eat. And Star-Lord in this universe, T'Challa, is all about that.
That's just like reverse Thanos. Rather than killing half the people, let's get some more resources.
Give them more resources. Yep. Exactly. I didn't even think about that. That's got to be on purpose.
That was my thought.
What's up, guys? Cutting off the podcast real quick to remind you about America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. I love this stuff. I swear by it. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I really do cook this stuff. I post it on there all the time. The finished pictures, the progress pictures, all of it. I love it. It's restaurant quality, but you don't have to sacrifice the cost. It is amazing. Go to HelloFresh.com/14Robbie. Right now, use the promo code 14Robbie. You're going to get 14 free meals. This is not like some kind of hoax. This is not some kind of scam. It's really 14 free meals. I used my own promo code. It worked. And these meals were amazing. I mean, I'm still going to get HelloFresh in the future just because I enjoyed the process so much. I like cooking them. I like eating them. HelloFresh is #1 meal kit in America for a reason. Go to HelloFresh.com/14Robbie now. Use the promo code 14Robbie. Get 14 free meals.
The collector actually is the one that has it. The Black Order is doing security for him, Thanos' Black Order, and they sneak in posing as sellers. So there's like a whole distraction thing and a little Trojan horse setup. And T'Challa on the way runs into Howard the Duck, voiced by Seth Green.
So good.
Another one where I was watching with my girlfriend and she hasn't seen like all this stuff. And I said, oh, this is the collector, whatever. He actually, in one of the movies he has, Howard the Duck, and like as I'm saying it, Howard the Duck shows up. I'm like, oh, fucking Howard the Duck, there he is. I hear the voice. I'm like, that voice sounds familiar. I looked it up. I'm like, oh my God, Seth Green's in this fucking show now. This is awesome. They start walking through the entire collection, and because of his necklace, Wakandan ship is activated, and he realizes, due to a video from his father T'Chaka, that Wakanda is real. It's not been destroyed. It still exists, and they're still looking for him. A very sad moment when you think he's been spending his whole life with this little Yondu gang.
By the way, shout out to Howard the Duck, just slugging martinis, saying I gotta hydrate. Hang on, I gotta hydrate. That was awesome.
Did you see Howard the Duck, Kev? Did you watch that as a kid? Because I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it at home, and I remember being terrified of it. Absolutely. But it was like an all-time flop for George Lucas, and I guess Spielberg had a hand in it. And Marvel, obviously, too, back in the day. But I saw it. I feel like Brent has probably seen it a bunch. I don't know if
it was either a little before my time, or like we just weren't much of a Howard the Duck house. So, But a great.
By the way, Brendan Clancy will be back on My Mom's Basement soon. He wasn't able to do today, but he's in for What If recap. So everyone look forward to Brendan Clancy. And I'm sure the what ifs that come out of that brain are going to be wild. Nebula turns on everyone at this moment. She has a Lando Calrissian moment. She's like, nope, sorry. And T'Challa at the same time is furious, but he gets locked up by the collector. He gets put in one of these boxes. He gets to escape due to his necklace. He is the Wakandan like claw necklace on still, breaks free. And our guy, who me and Clem have been asking for more of forever, Ebony Maw, gets a pretty cool appearance where he gets to lock T'Challa up like with the glass that he just shattered himself out of, which is cool. And he gets rescued by the collector's slave. She comes in at the end, gets Ebony Maw, she frees him, and Nebula double turns right at the moment where we're like, oh, she double crossed us, she triple crossed us, and she's like, yeah, this has been the plan all along. They do a little Ocean's 11, like, go back. She's like, yep, I told T'Challa at the table this is exactly what we were going to do. And at this point, Star-Lord T'Challa has to fight the Collector. This is something that I didn't think I would ever see. Benicio del Toro is the Collector. I didn't view as this big hulking villain who I was going to be afraid of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he's just got like all of the weapons in the MCU. He had Captain America's shield in his collection. He used Korg's arm. My fucking guy Korg. He's like, I sliced it off the arm of like a Malvi, whatever his species is. I was like, fucking Korg, my guy. Fucking, he lost the war here, not only to rock, paper, scissors, but he lost the war to the Collector. He uses the Dark Elf's knife, and most importantly, he uses Hela's headdress from Thor Ragnarok. He throws that son of a bitch on, and he is just like an overpowered beast against our guy T'Challa.
Cutting off the podcast one more time to remind you that Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley is going down on August 29th, Showtime pay-per-view, 8 p.m. Eastern, and Dave and Big Cat are actually going to be on the call. There's going to be a Barstool Sportsbook desk, and on the broadcast, they're going to cut to Dave and Big Cat, and there's going to be like gambling segments and stuff like that. They're going to go to them for live betting analysis. I don't even really know what it's going to be like, but I'm excited to tune in to find out. You can go to showtimepayperview.com, or obviously pay-per-view telecast providers everywhere. You can get this pay-per-view like it's normal pay-per-view. 5-fight main card, headlined by Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. We've got Jake Paul's toughest opponent yet. I know he's been on a bit of a skid in the UFC, but I mean, Tyron Woodley's got hands. Look up that knockout of Robbie Lawler. That's serious. I want to see if Jake Paul can withstand those punches. Tune into the Showtime pay-per-view. It is August 29th, Jake Paul's hometown, Cleveland. Go right now. This is going to be the pay-per-view of the month.
would you like? I think I'm at ease with all the good stuff that happens. I love my guy Korg. I feel like that's an all right trade-off to make. Korg has to die in exchange for everything else that is good. The T-Man being a good person.
No, I'm not making
Drax
a trade.
having a friend.
Just say
Nope.
Bob's vetoing
Nope.
that trade.
Korg made of rocks. Yeah, I mean, he's the best. Come on.
The Collector turning into some like, force that like could take on everybody was a weird twist.
Crazy.
That was one. I mean, when you're gonna get a little wacky with what ifs, that was one thing where I was kind of like, all right, I don't know about that, but they did a good job in the moment of making him seem so imposing and intimidating.
And I guess if he really is collecting all of the weapons in the galaxy or whatever, maybe he could pose a threat if Thanos is not there. Now Thanos gets into a fight with the big guy while this is all going on. I thought in my mind, like, oh shit, what if Thanos finds like the Infinity Gauntlet, maybe without the stones in it, in his collection, gets to put it on and use it against the guy or something. But he didn't. It was just a fight against the big guy. It was pretty good. He kind of got his ass kicked for a while, and then Nebula had to come back and save him. His own daughter saving him, kind of nice. Yondu comes back for Star-Lord at the same time. Parallels going on at the same time. And then Thanos and Nebula throw these embers into the big guy's mouth. And then the friggin' planet basically explodes with greens and gardens and resources everywhere. Everyone escapes. They put the Collector in a cage, very symbolic ending, and his entire collection is freed. They all surround him. The Ravagers are like, where do we go now? And T'Challa's like, come on, where the fuck do you think? We're going to Wakanda. They go to Wakanda for this big feast. We get to see more of Thanos just like having a good time with people. Thanos arriving to Wakanda in peace this time. Crazy. He's still telling, I think it was the Dora Milaje. He's like, no, it's not genocide. It's efficient and it's random. So it's, it's really not genocide. So funny. And there's a very heartwarming moment when T'Chaka's like, and how did you get on his ship again? And T'Challa's like, Yondu saved me. I was lost and he rescued me. So you get a nice bow to tie this one up at the end. It's dedicated, of course, to Chadwick Boseman. I'm excited to see a little more of him because his voice acting was perfect. He knew exactly like what to do for this character. Of course he did, because it's the character that he made so iconic. But some people, they said, like, aren't as good as voice acting as acting. I didn't even tell a difference.
No, that voice is so good at that. I mean, that was seamless to me. Two things I loved. Thanos' mad moment was awesome. Not crazy.
He's mad.
He looks like mad King deliver the line. I love the way in Wakanda the camera just panned through the whole party and you got little bits of every conversation.
Same.
Where he was like, if you had to put a label on us, we're just friends. And Thanos saying it's random and all that. So it was like all these little.
That was very like Disney-esque. Like I could imagine the end of a Disney movie. That's like the way that Pixar, or would wrap things up. Is very
That's
good.
How you wrap it up, and everybody's happy. Everyone's having their little quirky, moments. So, but Yondu being like, "I saved you. You're a traveler." Like, no, bro. Like, no. I wish I stayed in like the technological paradise. Fuck you, traveler.
Especially in this world where his father survives and Wakanda's still just thriving. Yeah.
That's called a parental spin zone, Kevin. We've all been there before. We've all been there before trying to make the kid feel better. Somebody said this on Reddit, and it really stuck with me. Like when you see Thanos at the bar or even during the party, it's like when you defeat the boss character in a video game, he becomes a playable character. Like that's exactly what it feels like. It's like, oh, he's one of our guys now. You see him beating the shit out of people, but he's not like, it's weird to see Thanos like vulnerable at all because he doesn't have the gauntlet on and he's not like this like fucking villain. He kind of, like you said, he's getting his ass kicked for a little while. It was kind of cool to see that. And it's crazy how Thanos, without like that gauntlet, has become like part of his outfit. And when he's not wearing it, he seems almost naked to me. You know
I agree. It's like
one of those weird
sometimes
things.
you see a wrestler not wearing like knee pads and elbow pads, and I'm like, put your fucking knee pads on, bro. You look naked.
What about though? He was still like just taking bullets from like laser guns and shit.
Yeah,
so
he was
still,
at the end.
He's still pretty invincible when he
His
wants to.
Skin is probably pretty friggin' thick. It's like all that for a drop of blood still.
Whenever I saw Patrick Ewing on a basketball court without knee pads, complete mind blow. Completely mind blown. You just see he usually have at least like the black underpads on, but if that wasn't on, you'd see actual kneecaps. You're like, that guy has kneecaps like me? Patrick Ewing has kneecaps like me? Fucking completely blowing my mind. Couple of like, because this was like, I mean, Bob Fox just went to the WWE warehouse. Did that video come out yet?
Yeah, it's out. Check it out.
Okay. I didn't see it. So awesome. So this is like Marvel's in the MCU warehouse right now with this what ifs. Like they're just cooking. They're like, we're going to throw some Thanos in this one. We're going to, pluck a little bit of T'Challa. I just love how they can, like, this is the second episode. And I feel like they really expanded because they really did like mash two projects together. Where like he had a little Iron Man in the first one. This was like Guardians meets Black Panther, which was very fucking cool. I looked up a couple Easter eggs. I feel like there's so many that probably the reviewers didn't even get to yet. The one was instead of it being named the Milano after Alyssa Milano, the spaceship, it was named the Mandela. Which is pretty fucking good. Yeah, I didn't notice that at the time. And apparently, I mean, this is right up Bob Fox's corner. There's an X-wing hidden in the back of one of the spaces. I couldn't see it, but they're telling me there's an X-wing. So if someone says there's an X-wing, I guess there's an X-wing. If we're gonna start dabbling in Star Wars in fucking episode 2 of What If,
that's sort of What If. I mean, if you can do some shit like, what if fucking, Star-Lord meets Luke Skywalker? Like, is that technically on the table? It kind of is, right?
I mean, Disney owns both at this point, so I mean, it's separate
Pixar,
studios, but Kevin Feige
Pixar,
works
Marvel,
within both,
Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
like I've always said, people have written in sometimes, and they're like, "Would you like to see that crossover?" I'm like, live action might be weird, but cartoons, yeah, that's what cartoons are for.
yes, cartoons are perfect for this because you can make anything happen. But like a lightsaber fight versus could a lightsaber penetrate
Captain America's shield? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like
Imagine like the Guardians showed up on Dagobah once and like ran into Yoda or something. Like that would be like, I would like to see that. Yeah, sure.
I mean,
especially like Yondu and those guys feel like they would fit in with Mandalorians. They're kind of like, out there just like ravaging fucking
definitely
universe, Well, that's
Yondu could be in that squad, like Bill Burr's squad from the first season.
Yeah, for sure. Like a little mercenary for hire type shit.
Yeah.
That man, that makes the whole, possibilities are now infinite.
And it doesn't touch nearly the amount of people just because Star Wars is such a massive franchise historically, and Marvel is like the king right now. But like old folks like me and you, Kevin, like when the Jetsons met the Flintstones, that shit was fucking like mind blowing. Like, wait a minute, whoa.
Those are, man, that's why I love this shit. Like when Jetsons met the Flintstones was crazy. When Jason and Freddy finally did a movie together.
Yeah, Alien and Predator.
Like these are things that,
For me, it was the young fans listening to My Mom's Basement will remember. It was Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents meeting Jimmy Neutron. Oh my God, the Timmy Power Hour. It was unbelievable.
I didn't know that one. That's fucking, and that's what this is about, because we spend our fucking sleepovers saying, Jason has the machete, but Freddy's got the fingers. Like, who would win? And like, here you go. We'll give it to you.
Well, you can even do live action. Fucking again, this is for a little the older crowd, but TGIF, you have the people from Full House and Urkel hanging out. You're like, wait a minute, they're in the same world, same universe.
That was nuts. Yes. There's something about it. I would love to know what it is psychologically that just people get off on the idea of like, this is not supposed to be here, but it is. Like, that's so amazing.
It's fun. And speaking of, I have a few I've written down myself. We've got a few from the fans. I'd love to get into these what ifs. The first, in honor of KFC joining the show, I wrote down as, what if KFC were a Yankees, Rangers, Giants, Nets fan?
I think about this every day of my life. I'm a Mets fan from the Bronx. I should not be a Mets fan.
No.
I lived behind enemy lines my whole life. It's all because of the fucking designated hitter. My grandfather hated the DH and was like, fuck that. It's not real baseball. So I'm going to be a fan of the NL. So I'm a Mets fan.
Otherwise, I did not know that. Holy shit.
Otherwise, he's a fireman from the Bronx. He would have just been a fucking Yankee fan. And I would have spent my childhood, dynasty parades left and right. But I also run the risk of becoming a gabagool douchebag then. And I really don't know. It's a what if that I can't answer, because it's like the two most important things in my life are my sports teams winning, but not being a fucking dickhead Yankee fan. So like, would I sacrifice that? And I don't know. Like, I can't imagine. I would be so happy, right? I'd be a champion like 10 times over if I flipped to the other side. But also there'd be a variant of me pausing a Yankee game, taking a screenshot of me in the crowd and being like, look at this fucking loser douchebag, because I'm sure I would look the part and act the part.
I need to see that. Someone needs to Photoshop douchebag KFC. We got Red Sox Dave last week with Jared's haircut and tattoos. Now I need to see douchebag Yankees fan KFC.
I'll do it for Halloween. This Halloween.
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
But that, I don't know if I can do it, man. It's like, and then the main thing, for me career-wise, if a Barstool blogger had the Eli beats Brady, like for me, if I had that with Dave to be like, whatever, man, I got your boy twice, like no big deal. That would probably, even just beating them in the playoffs was a big deal. Like having the ultimate, like I could laugh in Jerry Thornton's face and Dave's face because I got the one little thing that Brady never had.
Yeah, you could say, oh yeah, Brady could win Super Bowls as long as he's not playing against Eli.
Exactly.
Like every
Like,
time,
yeah.
you can just,
Like, doesn't just like, yeah, whatever, man, it's no big deal. That's crazy to me. So there'd be a lot of pros, but there's more pros than cons, but the cons are like awful to me. So I don't know.
I think Barstool would actually be worse if that was the case, if you were a Giants fan, just because I think the dynamic that Dave would always end up with the upper hand on you no matter what is kind of was part of the thing, right? Like if you had that in 2011, even forget it. If 07, forget it. Because 07, Patriots fans to this day, they talk shit and then you just say 07 and you see the life drain from their eyes. You know what I mean? And I
have that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you what happens if KFC is from birth, Yankee fan, just Yankee fan. Throw like the other fucking. Kevin's a Yankee fan from birth. He is currently he's at Deloitte. And he has a beautiful 6+, maybe 7-figure job at this point. And he's a straight corporate drone. Very happy. He was a cube monkey, but elevated from the cube life, kind of has a corner office, house on the beach in the summer, all that kind of stuff. He's definitely not at Barstool. Barstool's probably worse for it, but Kevin Clancy is not at Barstool. And he is successful in the finance world. No doubt in my mind about it. And the financial crisis never happens. Because you're part of the reason the laughs happen.
The butterfly effect on this one affects like global markets, economics. Everything.
Yeah, COVID might not happen on this one as well. Yeah.
You're our Star-Lord, basically. You are our Peter Quill. Like instead, we have you at Barstool and everything got fucked up. If that never happens, everyone's just happier right now. People's families are alive without Kevin being.
Dude, I love that you say like like the storyline here, the script is that Dave always ends up with the upper hand. The problem is it's not a script. It's real fucking life.
Yeah, he was talking about the life draining out of your eyes. I saw it drain out when he said that.
I'm hoping one day I have my Mick Foley Mankind moment when Mankind won the title and they like ran him around the ring and everybody came out like, this dude has been eating shit for fucking 20 years. Like, let's let him have his moment. Maybe I'll finally have that one day where Dave's not shitting all over me.
Yeah, I hope so too, Kevin, because I'm getting lumped into the Frank was right campaign, and it's like, motherfucker,
this is my life. Like what you're experiencing.
I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of all of it. It's hysterical when him trolling you guys. Oh, it makes me laugh.
Trolling, Clem, that's me. Whether it's the Mets or the Jets or my family or just my life, my existence. He's always doing that to me. You're getting one taste of it, and you can't take it. Imagine if it was everything.
My phone is basically
crazy. I haven't shot the place up yet.
But like Twitter is poison right now for me. I don't even want to turn it on because I don't want to see just a bunch of. It's always that's the thing people don't understand. It's always the Yankee fans. I go to these people hitting Frank is white. I'm like, oh, another angry Mets fan, and it's their profile NYY Go Yanks, and I'm like, it's just the fucking morons doing that. But you just see the Frank is right trending, and you're just like, oh god.
I got another KFC scenario for you here. And this one is basically because Brendan's not here. So we could throw this scenario out there. What if KFC were an only child? I feel like so much changes there. Yep. Because what if Brendan never introduces him to podcasts and all this kind of stuff?
Or even just the older brother, if I was older, because like the older brother sets
there you go, yeah.
Because like everything I did, I liked the music he liked. I liked the clothes. I wore the clothes he wore. I liked baseball. Then he switched to basketball. I decided to like basketball. And then of course all the work stuff. Like, I mean, I don't think I've ever made a move at Barstool without it first being his idea. It would probably be more of the Deloitte shit. I probably would have just
another cube monkey alternate reality.
That was the only thing I ever did that was like even my summer jobs were what he did before Barstool. So like my dad gave that to my brother, and then like I was gonna follow that track, but I ended up just somehow getting this finance job. So that was the one thing I did independent of both of them, and so I probably would have just done more of that. But yeah, there'd probably never be any. It's funny, the blog I kind of started on my own. That was the one thing. Like my brother was never like, "Yo, man, you should start a blog." it was once I started blogging, he was like, you got to have social media, you got to do a podcast, like everything else. So I might have still started to write somewhere. That wasn't totally inspired by him, but everything else was. So yeah, it would probably be a much, anybody who enjoys my content, it would be a much more boring world for all of us without him.
I actually have the
like
answer.
the worst promos ever.
The answer is Kevin Clancy is a 5-time New York Times bestseller of like Bigfoot erotica fan fiction and it's like, oh, that guy did I read his Bigfoot erotica book. What did you read? It's like, oh, I read this thing about the 90s smoke shows and Kelly Kapowski and stuff like that. Like I feel like Kevin sticks hard
and like
in
the
the
Keith
writing.
Hernandez biography or something. Like
yeah. Like if For Sure Not ever took off and was its own thing, it would be just like heavy 90s nostalgia over and over and over and over again until I'm dead.
Which isn't a bad life to live, to be honest.
Not at all, brother. Not at all.
All right, this one's an overall Barstool one, but I thought of this morning and I thought it was interesting. What if Roger Goodell and the NFL embraced Barstool like Dana White and the UFC?
We would be worse off.
You think?
I do. We say this every year with Media Week or Media Day. Like all the NFL has to do is give us credentials, and then we get in the building and we ask the same lame old questions. But when they deny us, that's when we're doing costumes and breaking in and dead legs getting dragged out. I think that you naturally become like the regular media when you get let in to the circle. And when you're on the outside, that's when you can be the pirate ship and the renegades and all that. Now, Dana has been particularly awesome. And so, maybe by this point, Dave would be like calling a Monday Night Football game. That's a different story. Because the way they've embraced Pat McAfee a little bit, like there would be more corporate pluses. Like there would be good things like, maybe Barstool would have naming rights to a stadium and we would do a broadcast of a game. There'd be probably big money making good things, but we would lose a lot of content. I mean, Dave became Dave because of that feud,
Yeah.
Like El Prez was kind of the blogger who had like, his funny storylines and inside jokes of everything else, like every other walk of life. But then Dave Portnoy came to fame being the NFL Goodell guy. And so
Getting arrested, the Brady 4, all that. Yeah.
I mean, that, there'd be no Brady 4. There'd be no Goodell clown shirt. There'd be no.
Yeah. Imagine Goodell was just like, yeah, send him up. I'll have a meeting.
Yeah. Right. It would be a Goodell shirt that's like a positive one. It'd be like, oh, we love Goodell. We'd be calling him Uncle Roger.
Uncle Roger. Oh my God.
Yeah,
sent shivers down my spine when you said that.
Dave would have watched the Monday Night Football game with him, and they would have just been palling around, and everyone would have been like, "This fucking sucks. This is weird, dude."
And the offshoot of that is then Goodell becomes likable, right? It's like, oh, he's playing ball with the Barstool guys, and like Dave would bring out the right side of him, right? It's like that's my least favorite thing about part of my take is they make guys I hate likable. I'm like, you sons of bitches, you did it again. Yep. And Roger Goodell would become likable, and I do not want to live in a world where Roger Goodell is likable because he is such a. And I think the NFL owners don't want that either because he just takes all the heat whenever some scumbag is gets a short suspension or something like that. They kind of want him to be like the villain. And it's kind of like, what if Steve Austin just like Vince McMahon play ball? It's like, oh, Steve, you're the number contender. Here's your belt. Go get it. It's not about that. And it made them both better. It made Vince McMahon the heel, made Steve Austin the face everyone loved.
Great comparison there. All right, now we got some fan what ifs from the listeners. This one, I'll start off with actually the behind the blog one featuring KFC's most recent behind the blog, Jeff D. Lowe. Trill Rafterty wrote in and said, what if Jeff D. Lowe never sent the T-Lizard tweet?
I mean, he said it himself. The only reason he's at Barstool is because of that tweet.
That's crazy. Jeff D. Lowe's probably just at Good Morning America to this day. Probably, he'd be tweeting about Robin Roberts, maybe.
To be fair, he said he was like, I left a really good gig. Like,
he did. I remember specifically having conversations with Jeff where he's like, I really want to do Barstool, and me telling him like, I know how much you make at Good Morning America. There's no way that's going to be entry level for you at Barstool. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, he said he watched the rundown when we were on Comedy Central and was like, I want to work there specifically, and like set his mind to it. And so there was like nothing that was going to stop him. But money wise, and it sent him to the Olympics. He was living out his like dreams, meeting these celebrities. But I guess it wasn't his dream. His dream was Barstool. So without that tweet,
there's no dozen.
Yeah, there's no dozen. There's no movies.net.
Yeah, movieranKings.net. Great website.
He is a host of a Tuesday night trivia show, though, and he's somewhere on the upper
like at a bar.
Yes, it's on the Upper East Side. But those haircuts, like at some point, he's gonna have to make a decision about those haircuts. He's not really doing that forever. Actually, if he stays at GMA, I guess he could keep getting his haircuts. So
I just want to quickly give a shout out to Team Your Mom, and everyone knows that Jack McCarthy was fucked on that Nick Fairley answer. Jeff D. Lowe said that never in the history of the dozen has there been as much of an uproar about a question. He said he was at the Parker House all over the Jersey Shore, people screaming at him at the bar, "You were wrong, you fucked him over, give him the point." So he knows he was wrong. The world knows he was wrong. Your mom got jobbed, and we still persevered.
His championship hangover.
Team ZD undefeated. Team ZD undefeated. Just gonna leave it at that.
The next one is a Marvel what if from Dennis Neary. He said, what if Thor would have aimed for the head or Thanos' arm when throwing the Stormbreaker at Thanos? What if Infinity War ended with Thanos dying or the Infinity Gauntlet getting cut off his arm right before the snap?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about too with the Star-Lord thing. Like, had they prevented it, well, there's one less movie, that's for sure. That's
a good point. Great movie.
The highest grossing movie in the history of the world, right? At least until,
true. Fucking they got to re-release Endgame so they could get that record back.
Did you hear my theory? They got to do a double feature where they do Infinity War right into Endgame.
Great idea.
I'll sit on my ass for 6 hours and go to the bathroom 10 times. I would definitely go. But I'm going to watch it.
That would be so awesome.
There would be it would offer up a great heel turn where someone else could just be like, it's there for the taking.
I have the answer.
I'm going to go snap it. Who is it?
So I was thinking this. So I was like, because again, Doctor Strange saw all these things play out and he's saying this is what has to happen. Thor picks it up and is like, can I bring back my mom? Right. And all the people he's lost, and he starts snapping, he starts doing shit. And I mean, half the universe getting wiped out is basically best case scenario at this point. Because it's like any of us picking up the gauntlet. I mean, granted, he's a god and he has a bunch of magical shit. But like that thing, no one's ready for that fucking thing. Like Thanos used it twice and he was like, that thing. His entire life was about it. So I think Thor starts doing it. And when you like try to start fixing things and then you just ends up more broken than when you started. That's exactly what I feel like, which would be an awesome what if to watch play out.
I want to see that now that you just laid it out, like a corrupted Thor. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But I feel like it came from a good place of like, I want to bring my mom back. I'm thinking of like, who would be like just all of a sudden like Lord of the Rings, your favorite fucking movie, Bob, like power craze, like they're looking.
What
right
if it's
at
Scarlet Witch? What if he is right after he's able to kill Vision, Scarlet Witch is like, fuck this.
Throw that magic in with the gauntlet. You're getting some fucking crazy shit going on.
Or just magic. Like, what if fucking Captain America decided like to be a power?
Hail Hydra. Boom.
Yeah, like I've been waiting for this moment, and now like I got all the power in the universe. Fuck all you guys.
That would be my ultimate, like Austin shaking hands with Vince McMahon at the end of WrestleMania 17. I'd be like, my guy, no. The final what if
we know he held the secret from Tony Stark that his parents are murdered in cold blood by his best friend. So like, there's I can see Cap getting there. He's not pure white. He's a little bit of gray in that way.
I mean, listen, by Endgame, they showed he was pure white. Fucking, he was worthy. He got the hammer. He got it all.
Oh, we know he's pure white, Bob. He's raised in the 40s.
I saved my favorite for last. This one is sent in by Nathaniel Mikowski. It is a Barstool what if. It's just a different universe. He said, what if it were the Eddie Show with Dave Portnoy and company?
Dave's like, all right, bang, bang.
Can you imagine?
Oh, man, that's so
Dave
funny.
every week interviewing Eddie about like, so that girlfriend of yours, what's she up to, eh? Like, any big deals you got? Like, you have unlimited money now, don't you, Eddie?
So funny. Eddie's got a tattoo on his finger one day. Like, just the funniest fucking.
Eddie's wearing chains. Eddie's like, I don't have time for this shit. Like, I'm trying to fucking vacation over here.
Yeah, Eddie's like he's recording remotely, but it's at a lake house in like Wisconsin instead of my South Beach and shit like that. The world is such a better place. It's so wholesome. It's so happy. I still remember like the minute I knew Eddie was a fucking superstar was back before it was definitely before he was full time. Remember when it was like a cold front out in Chicago, and he was just picking up people who were waiting for the bus and driving them and just basically doing the dog walk with them, and he was just bullshitting with them for 5 minutes as he was driving them. And I was like, this is incredible. I don't know anything about this person. Just some random dude waiting to go to his grocery store job, and I was enthralled with it. So it would be awesome.
That was one of those moments, like if we were bigger when he had done that, that would have been mega viral.
Definitely. If it went on like the Instagram or whatever, like, yeah, this was just my favorite one. When I read that, I laughed out loud. It gave me the same reaction as the Red Sox Dave one from last week. I was just like, these alternate realities are just fantastic.
The idea of Eddie being like would he still be like doing dog walks and drafts and stuff? And is Dave the one doing that?
I think Dave's the one doing that. I think Dave's in a tiny closet office.
Right. So Eddie would be like, Dave would be saying something like, yeah, well, we got controversy in the snake draft. Like, we tweeted it out, but he knew who it was on the, which number. And Eddie would be like, shut the fuck up. We don't care.
I love Eddie would have all underlings. Maybe it's swapped though. Maybe like Dave and the snake draft is like Dave, Tommy Smokes, Kareem, Frankie, and maybe Eddie is doing pizza reviews filmed by like Carl and stuff.
No, Eddie's got to be doing like beef reviews or something.
Beef reviews. Beef reviews.
Drinking beer, drinking Miller Lights,
Someone wrote in, what if Dave was lactose intolerant? I was like, yep, no pizza reviews. That would suck.
That would be very funny.
Pizza is like the one thing. It's the perfect food, and every single look, Dan can make anything likable. We talk about this. Burrito versus pizza was the biggest blowout of all time, and the fact he kept it going that long is almost a tribute to Dan itself.
Let me throw you a what if. If there's no KFC radio, there's no burrito versus pizza argument. There's no pizza.
There's no pizza reviews.
There's no Big Cat Mustache. That came. We were doing playoff beards, and he needed to shave for a wedding, and like the agreement was like you keep the mustache.
Oh my god! I mean I must have known that back in the day, but I've forgotten it. That's hysterical. That's the origin of the stash.
The amount of shit that was born from that was there'd be
holy shit.
The 6, 12, 18, 24 challenge, that was it too, and that was Go Press Go became a big thing.
Go Press Go, yeah.
There's a lot.
I remember watching, like, waiting for that rundown live in my basement, being like, "Here we go, 6, 12, 6, 8, 12, 24 challenge."
That
like,
was so absurd that anybody there's no way Dave was jerking off any amount of those times. There's no way he was drinking that many beers. You take away KFC Radio and some of those old early things that spiraled out of the show. I mean, Dave always loved pizza for sure, but would there be one bite? Would there be an app? Would there be a series? Like, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we're even more things in the future. Like he's talked about on Dave Portnoy show, not breaking any news here. The like frozen pizzas. It's gotten to that point where there's going to be fucking Barstool frozen pizza. It's ridiculous, but it's crazy. And think about all the viral pizza reviews, the celebrities. Like it's brought so much attention to Barstool. Completely different world.
He is the pizza guy now, And actually now he's probably one step further from that. But like, he went from El Prez to like the Dave Portnoy, the football, the Goodell guy, to the pizza guy, now like the trader businessman.
And the fun guy, he was the small business hero to now he's the fucking Wall Street guy, which is like kind of the opposite of that. It's from Brendan Clancy, the old guy, super producer BC. He gets KFC Radio started and just these offshoots. So that kind of goes into that one.
It's fucking crazy, man.
Nuts.
It's insane. All right. This has been a lot of fun. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Hopefully we'll get you back on before the season's over. If you're available, the seat's open for you because debating what ifs with you, even the what ifs that we're doing with listeners is always a blast. Hopefully we'll get the foursome of you, me, Brendan, and Clem back on soon.
I'm always down. Let's do it.